Alright, so very quickly we'll be looking at the date functions. First of all, can I just welcome every one of you to this class this night. One of the reasons why I actually do live classes is because I want everyone to be engaged. I want everyone to know, okay, on this day we are going to be going live, we are going to be having this class live. So if I can just create time and come online, I'll be able to learn something very valuable. So today in our live class we'll be looking at the date functions in Excel. Date functions. Excel actually has a lot of date functions, but we just picked this 10, right? 5 here. We just picked this 10. We want to look at how we can use them, effectively, what we can use them for, and how they are all different one from another. So very quickly, what are date functions in Excel? As I said, they are all the functions we use to manipulate dates, everything that contains date. We use them to manipulate dates. There are a lot of them, as I said earlier, so we are going to be looking at them one after the other. But just to maybe mention them, we have the date, we have the today function, we have the now function, Edate, Yearfrac, Workday, year, month, day, these are like 3, then weekday, Weeknum, and then the Datedif. Okay, so let us start with the date function. What actually does the date function do? We actually use the date function to create a date. That's just what it's used for. So it is used to create a valid date. So if you want Excel to recognize an entry as a date and not just some random numbers, you have to use the date function. So what is the syntax? Let's come down here, and once we just enter date with a bracket, it shows us the syntax. I believe you can see that. Or let me just zoom a little bit. Okay, so exactly. So that is the syntax. You have the year, you have the month, you have the day. So the question says we should create a date entry for the 1st of November 2025, which is actually today. So we want to create that entry. So we will first start with the year. Always remember that, 2025, and then the month, all numbers, the number of the month, and then the day, which is actually first one. And once we hit enter, it creates the date for us. This is the format. So if you want to change the format, you can always go to this and then more number formats, and then under date you have several formats. You can use that. Okay, so that's for the date function. So we use it to create it. We are going to be using it in several of these exercises, so just watch out. So we have answered that question. Let's go to the next function very quickly, which is the today function. What is it used for? It is actually used to return the current date, today's date. So once we call up that function, it will display today's date. The interesting thing is that if tomorrow I open up this Excel sheet, that date I entered or that function I entered, the result it gave me will be updated to tomorrow's date. So what is the syntax? Today, and I just have to close the bracket. There's no argument inside. So once I hit enter, it gives me today's date. And as I said, if we come back again tomorrow, you check this, you will see tomorrow's date updated. Now, the next function, which is the now function, actually does more than the now function actually does more than just the date function, just by adding the time. So instead of just giving us the time, now it gives us both the time now and the date. So let's look at that. So it's more like a combination of the date or the today function and time. It adds that to that. So what's the syntax? Now, and once we open our bracket, you open the bracket and you close it, so it will give you everything: the date first and then the time, 2047. Okay, that's for the now. So it just tells you now. And I want to believe that just like the date function, it also updates. Okay, so if you just keep your eye on that, you will see it updating as time goes. So we go to the next one, which is what? The Edate function. What is that used for? So the Edate actually helps return a date that is a specified number of months before or after a start date. Yeah, that has updated. Okay, so the edate function, what does it do? Let me remove it so we don't get distracted by that. Okay, so the edate function returns a particular date that is a specified number of months before or after a start date. What does that actually mean? So if I say I want to find out what the date will be 7 months from now, definitely today is 1st of November, so I could just count 7 months from now and it will give me the date. So that's just the idea. That's just the idea, the specific date after a particular number of months. Okay, so it can be before or after. Actually, I can try to trace back and say, okay, what month is it? 50 months ago or 50 months from now, what month will it be? Okay, so let's see the syntax. If we say edate and open a bracket, it tells us the start day when we want to start counting and the number of months we want to count. Okay, let me update this my question to 50, since we can easily count 5 months from now. So the question now says, what date will it be 50 months from now? Wow, that's a long time, but let's try it. So we will enter the syntax, which is edate, and then it says start day. Start day. I want start date, so I'm going to enter a date function inside that. So I'm nesting the date function. Which day do I want to start? It says from today, so the year first, I beg your pardon, 2025, month 11th, and day first, which is actually today. And the next one is months, 50 months from now, and that is the end. So remember, we use our date function to actually tell Excel, hey, what I'm about to enter is a date, and that. So once I hit my enter key, it tells me that will be 1st of January 2030. You can check that manually if you have the time, just to verify. Beautiful. So the next question under this same function, under this edate function, says what date will it be 10 months from the 2nd of August. Before we do that, we can also check 50 months away. What date will it be 50 months from today, like 50 months in the past? We can check that. So all you just have to do is use a negative for 50 here and it will count backwards. I felt I should mention that. So what date will it be 10 months from the 2nd of August 2025? So 10 months, let's go backward. So what date was it? Let's use that. Was it 10 months from the 2nd? 10 months, let's use before the 2nd of August. Yeah, so let us count backward. In this case, in fact, let us try and make it 100 months. That's too much, but that's cool. Let's try that. So we will say edate, and what is the start date? Remember, let's make it a date function. 2nd of August. Oh, year first, 2025. August is 08, and the day is 02. Okay, we'll close our bracket, and then your comma. So it says 50 months, so let's make it 100 months minus 100 months. So once we hit that, it says it's actually going to be the 2nd of April 2017. So 100 months from this date is actually this. That's actually a long time. Oops, that's actually a long time. Now let's look at this next question, or this next function, I beg your pardon. That's the Yearfrac, like the year fraction. So the question here is what actually is that fraction, or rather that function? What do we use the Yearfrac for? So it is actually used to return the fraction of the year represented by the number of whole or partial days between those two dates. In other words, I want to find out the fraction. If for example, I want to find out what fraction of the year it is, let's say between 15th of January to 30th of April. So what fraction of the year is 15th January to 30th April of the same year? What fraction? So it's going to calculate how many days are in that period and divide it by the number of days in the year. So let's look at the syntax. Yearfrac, and what are the arguments we will enter? First the start date, next the end date, and then something here. We are going to look at it quickly. So let us look at this question. What fraction of the year is gone already? So from January up to today, well, is today gone? Let's assume today is gone because we are taking this class in the night. So let's assume today is gone, kinda. So let's say from 1st January to 1st November. So my start date, remember to add your date, 2025, sorry, month, January, you can say 01 or just 1, day, first day of the month. My end date is actually another date, 2025, month 11, day 1. And then the next thing here, we say basis. Actually, these are different bases you want to calculate the year, okay? Do you just want to use the actual day, 365? Is it actually at 365? Different bases, US, European, whatever. I just want to use the actual one and then 365 days. So I'm going to select, my next argument will just be 3. So I'll enter 3 and close my bracket. So you can choose any other one you want, okay? So it's going to give me a fraction, and it says 5/6. So 5/6 of the year is gone already. We are just left with 1/6 of the year. Okay, so you can check other dates probably between. Let's use the example I cited when explaining what fraction of the year is. Do we have from 15th January 2025 till 30th April 2025, or start 2025. Okay, so let's try this. So we'll still use the same Yearfrac. Yep. And then our start date will be 15th January 2025. So let's add our date function to signify we are entering a date, year 2025, and month January, day 15th, and then comma, end date, that will be 30th April 2025. So our date function again, 2025 April 4, and the day is 30th. Close your bracket, and then let's use the same 3 for the basis, and you hit enter, and this time around it expresses it as a decimal. I could just come here and say I need it as a fraction, and it gives me 2/7 of the year. Okay, let's check the next one, which is Workday. So what is that function? The Workday actually tells us how many working days are actually between two dates. Like, it returns a date that is a specified number of working days before or after a starting date. So basically it's saying if I'm looking for 100 or 20 working days from a particular date, it will give me the date that is that number of working days. And there are conditions in between. If you have holidays, you can include it. Let's look at the syntax. Workday, so it says start date, the number of days you want to count, and if there are any holidays, you can leave it. If there are no holidays, you can just skip that argument. It's optional. So let us look at the question. I intend putting in, let me cancel this and then click on this so we can read it off the formula bar. I intend putting in 100 working days at the office starting from the 3rd of November. What will be my last day at the office? Okay, Start date will be 3rd of November, working days 100, and let's just estimate how many holidays there are in between. So let's start. We will have, what's the function? Workday. Our start date will be 3rd of November. So that will be 2025. The month is November 11 and the start day or the day is 3rd. Days, how many days? 100. How many holidays can we estimate? Let's say 25th and 26th of December, Christmas and Boxing Day. So those are 2. And then 1st of January. So if they'll be given probably 31st, you could add that and make it 4, but I'm very sure 1st of January. So that will be like 3 working days, 25th, 26th, and then the 1st of January, which is 3. So let me just add that 3 and let us see what it gives us. So it tells us that your 100th day, your last day in office, which will be my last day in office, your 100th day will be on the 23rd of March, right? 2026. Beautiful. I hope this class is exciting. I'm enjoying it. So let's look at these 3 functions very quickly. Year, month, and day. Year, month, and day. Now, you can just use it to extract the year, month, or the day. So how do I do this? So let me just format some dates here, or this date here. Let me just enter it here. Okay, and then just show you a different way of doing this. So let me just say I have this date here is 22nd, so I could just come here and say date, year is 1999, the month there is 4th, and the day is 22nd. Okay, so that gives me this. So I want to extract the year, the month, and the day. So for example, I don't want my dates to appear like this. I just want to have only the year. So let's do that here. So that's where we use the year function. It extracts just the year, month, the month, day. So you just have only that represented. There's nothing else. So it says, what is that? What are you extracting the date from? So I'm picking this. Sometimes Excel represents it as a number, so you can just click that number. But here I have a date already. So I am extracting dates from this, and it says the year from that, and it says 1999. Let us extract the month here. So we are just going to say month, and what is it? This, and I close my bracket, and it extracts it for. And then let's just do for the day. It's just about the same thing. Day, right? Day, this, close the bracket, and that. So it extracts everything for you, and you have it all out there. That's all about the year, month, and day function. The next one is the weekday. The weekday. So we want to find out what day of the week a particular day is. Is it a Monday or a Tuesday? Monday, Sunday will be, I think Sunday is 1, Monday 2, and so on and so forth. So we want to find that out. So the syntax is weekday, okay, and then we are going to change the type. So let's try this before we answer. Okay, no, let's answer this question. So it says, what day of the week was 4th of July 2024? So let me just format that as a date. 2024, month is July, which is 7, and the day is 4th. I think that's America's independence. And then it's asking us what type. Now you have different types here for different choices. Default, I think this should be default. Oh, let's not assume any default. Numbers here, 1 is for Sunday through 7 Saturday. So if that's your preference, you choose that. For others, it may be 1 Monday and 7 Sunday. But let me choose this. 1. I want this 1 Monday. Normally, I think that's how it is, right? Right. No, it is the normal thing in my area. It's this. 1 for Sunday and 7 for Saturday. But whichever is your choice, that's cool. Let's use this, which is 2. So that will be 2. I want to choose that. What did I just do? After the comma comes 2. So it says 1 is Monday, and 7 is Sunday. So I close my bracket, and when I hit enter, it tells us that that was actually a Thursday. The weekday is actually Thursday. You can verify that. You can verify that. All right. Okay. Let's try and do for this. Let's see what weekday that was. Okay. So let us try and see. Hold on. Was that Thursday? Type was what? We used 2, right? Yeah, 1 Monday. So yeah. So that works. Okay, without wasting time, let's just go to the next one. This is now week number. So it tells you the number of the week. You know, we have 52 weeks kinda in the calendar. So it will tell you, okay, this week is the 5th week or the 7th week. That's what that function does. So quickly, let us do that. The question says, let's look at the syntax first, and we have all this. So let's try for this first, or let's answer the question, then we can try for this. So the question here says, what week of the year is today? So today is 1st of November 2025. So let us find out what week of the year it is. So I'm going to add the year 2025, not 35, please. 2025, 11, and then 1, and then it's still asking us for week begins on Sunday, system 1. Okay, no problem. Let's just leave it empty. You could add the type, any type you want. Okay, so not too sure what this is, so let me just leave it. So we just want to find out what week this is. So I have entered this. I will leave whatever default that will give you, and it says, wow, this is the 44th week of the year. This is the 44th week of the year. So that works. Next is, or should I say that should be the last function here. Yeah, that's the last function. So we are looking at the Datedif. My apologies, I don't have the Datedif in this version of Excel, but I have it in my Google Sheet. So we are going to go to Google Sheet very soon. But what do we use the Datedif for actually? The Datedif is a very interesting function. It tells us the number of days or months or years between 2 dates. We can use it to find out how many days or how many years or how many months are between 2 given dates. Okay, so yeah, let's copy this and then go to our Google Sheet. Let me paste that here. Good. And then we will work with those. Let me extend this a little bit so we can see all the question. Yeah, in its entirety. Beautiful. So the first question says, how many days since the beginning of the year? How many days have we exhausted? So we are going to use Datedif. Yeah, and it says, the syntax says the start date, end date, and the unit. We'll look at what the unit means in a moment. So from the question, how many days since the beginning of the year? So the start dates will be beginning of this year. So we will still use our date, and that will be 2025. Month is January, day is 1st, and end date, which is actually today, year is 2025, month is 11, day is 1, and then the unit Y is for year, if you want to count how many years, M is for months, and D is for days. So we are looking for days, so I'll just enter D, and when I hit my enter key, it tells me we have spent 304 days since the beginning of the year. So we're basically just left with maybe 61 days, maybe, to the end of the year. Yeah, cool. Let's look at the next question. It says, how many days until the 30th of June 2026? So between now and the 30th of June. So we use the same Datedif, and we say start date, which is actually today, 2025, month is November, and day is 1, comma, end date 30th of June. So we'll say date 2026, 30th of June, that will be 6 and 30, close your bracket. And the units, how many days? Well, we just have only days in these questions, but it's fine, you can add, probably calculate for years or whatever. So let's just do for days one more time. So let's see how many days that gives us. 241 days. So let's go back to our Excel and see what we have. So that is that for date functions. We have looked at dates today. Now Edate, Yearfrac, Workday, year, month, day, weekday, Weeknum, and Datedif. These are not all, but I want to believe these are the most commonly used date functions in Excel. So if you have any question, if there is something you felt I missed out, or if there's any topic you want us to cover in any of any day or sometime in the future, just let me know in the comment sections. Please, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we post a video, or whenever we are going live, or whenever we just we go live, anytime. And then like the video, please, and share it with others. Encourage people to watch, and whenever you see us live, just go ahead and join. All right, thank you so much, everyone. I so much appreciate your presence here. Have a wonderful time. Till the next video, keep having fun with Excel. Bye.